Hi, welcome to another Mr. Munner's IB Guides video. Today we're going to be looking at vague analysis in paper 2. This is a follow-up to the first vague analysis video for paper 1s. If you haven't seen that video yet, I suggest you go back and have a look at that one because it's going to provide some really important context regarding what we're talking about today. Today's going to be a quick video, just a little bit of a summary. So, again, what is vague analysis? Particularly when we're talking about paper 2s. So if we look at the paper 2, we're looking at two texts that you haven't been assessed on throughout the course yet. So that is in neither the HLSA or the GAO, the Global Issues Oral. You need to explore how each of these texts addresses one of 4 questions. So you're going to choose one of those 4 questions and you're essentially going to explore how that question is developed and commented on in the 2 texts that you have chosen. You're going to be comparing similarities, you're going to be contrasting differences, and you're going to be looking at language, style, and structure. So how does the language, style, and structure in each of the texts help the author explore the question, but also things like theme, character setting, etc. So with that in mind, we're going to be looking at vague analysis. So again, vague analysis lacks specificity, so it lacks that focus on the particular idea, character, theme, literary device. There is no connection to the chosen question. It does not answer the why. Often the issue is that the statement could be made about any text that we study. So how can we prevent vague discussion in our paper 2 essay? Take note that just because we are talking about the text, talking about an idea, a character, a theme, a literary device, doesn't necessarily mean that our discussion is not vague. Really, vague discussion doesn't address the question that you've chosen. You always need to be focusing on that question. That's really the gist of the paper 2. That's the focus that we need to really narrow down to. Always be focusing on the question. And use the text in order to do that. That's the important aspect. So examples of vague discussion. Throughout The Great Gatsby, Fitzgerald discusses the theme of social class. Okay. That would make me ask, what is being discussed about social class? Second example, Fitzgerald provides meaning when he discusses the green light at the end of Buchanan's Pier. Again, what meaning is being provided here? Gatsby's parties provide insight into the character of Jay Gatsby. Again, what is that insight? Now, in many of these cases, you might follow up this sentence with a sentence that clarifies what you mean. It will outline what is suggested about the theme of social class. It'll provide that meaning. It'll provide that insight. But why not just do it in the first sentence anyway? Why necessitate having an additional sentence when you could just interweave it into your original sentence? So I guess the thing that you need to consider is not just is your discussion vague, but also are you being succinct with your writing, okay, which is linking with some of the criteria. So again, what is going to help us to reduce vague discussion? Always center your discussion on, of course, the question. That's really what's going to help us out the most here. We need to be explicit with our use of authorial choices, actually use the meta language that we've learned, actually use a label of an authorial choice. Don't just say the use of the words, actually pick an authorial choice that is being used, because this will help with your specificity. Make your thesis and arguments responses to the question. So always keep that question in mind. So when you're making links back to that thesis, when you're making links back to those ideas, it's always about that question. That's going to help with your specificity. It's going to help with you reducing the vagueness of your discussion, because you're always going to be talking about the question. And lastly, make sure you're using quotes. Quotes, examples, they're going to ground your discussion in the actual text itself. Okay? And it might not necessarily reduce your vague analysis if it's not centered on the question itself. If you're just using random quotes, it's not really going to help, but at least it's going to demonstrate that you've got a strong textual knowledge. Okay? That's going to help you with your knowledge and understanding for criterion A. And it's probably going to help you with potentially criterion B with your analysis and evaluation, and it can help you with your structure as well. So making sure that we're being explicit with our choice of authoritative choices, making sure our analysis links back to the question, make your thesis and arguments responses to the question, but that we're using quotes is all going to help us to reduce vague discussion. But the real thing that's going to help us is just asking those questions. Is this linking back to the question? And how can I flesh my ideas out more? If I'm saying things like makes a comment on an idea, explores the concept of identity, whatever it is, those sort of broad terms are not really going to be helpful. You want to be specific about exactly what it says about those things, about identity, about societal constructions, about whatever ideology, whatever concept you're talking about. Be specific about what is being said, not just use the labels themselves. Hopefully you found this useful. Please practice writing on these texts. Use the sample questions that I've provided for you. And later on we'll have more videos on our texts. See you later.